Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergent Thursday Creator Convo. I'm Noel Marshall, and I am one of the stewards of the Co-Creators Convergence, along with my beloved Bob Warner, who is doing tech behind the scenes and nursing a little sinus infection. So welcome everyone here tonight. And I also want to tell you, welcome to Jana Larsen, who is our guest tonight. She's having a little technical difficulty with her camera, so she is going to be sharing a lot with us, but we won't be able to see her face in person. Okay, here we go. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. So please stand by. So welcome back. That is a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. And I think you saw that we are here every Thursday night, and next week we have Maureen Edwardson, and she's going to talk about unconscious, conscious co-creation. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then a very special event is going to be on December 22nd. A lot of us that started this group, and so many that are attracted to this group, were students of and friends and co-authors and lots of other things with Barbara Marx Hubbard, the futurist, visionary, and actually ran for Vice President of the United States in 1984. So we are going to have a celebration of what she called Day One of the New Humanity, which was December 22nd, 2012, one day after the Mayan calendar, according to MSN media, thought the world was going to end. So she just said, well, let's make the next day, December 22nd, Day One of the New Humanity. So that is, we have just a wonderful celebration of that coming up. It will also be part of an online convergence called Enlightening Our Way Together. And that is going to be a 2-day celebration of a lot of different organizations co-creating that event. So look for that information on our Facebook page, the Co-Creators Convergence. You can just look for that, and we will have information about the convergence, Enlightening Our Way Together. And I know they're going to have a global fire ceremony every morning, and the prayers of the 22 women every day. As well as the May Peace Prevail on Earth is doing a special flag ceremony from Japan. So there are many different events that are going on, and I think will be the final piece de resistance. So welcome everyone. And before we begin and I introduce Jana, I just want to do a little centering here. And I want to read and bring in the universal prayer for peace. Lead us from dying to living, from illusion to truth, from despair to hope. Lead us from hatred and unlove through forgiveness and reconciliation to cooperation and peace. May love and peace fill ourselves, our neighbor, the world, our universe. Om Shanti, Shalom, Salam, blessed be, peace, and amen. So welcome, welcome, welcome once again. And as I said before, Jana's having a little difficulty with her camera, and we're just going to have a wonderful time anyway, because she has so much to share with us. So let me tell you a little bit about Jana. She is a Human Resources Director, Economic Justice Campaign Coordinator, and Program Project Leader of We the World and the We campaign. She attended Colorado State University and Kent State University on the 30-year plus plan. I have to learn about that. I guess that means she's a lifetime learner and proud mom, and used to be a mountain girl, but now a country girl. We heard about the cornfields with hopes to be a beekeeper. And her, as Barbara would say, what's your deepest heart desire? For Janet is she wants to save the world. So Jana, I'm gonna turn it over to you now. This is kind of like a free form, whatever you want me to do. I do have a 2-minute video about We the World. If you want me to weave that in at any time with your presentation, over to you.
Oh, sure. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to be here tonight. It's quite an honor. And I have to just say that Noel and Bob, it's very nice to meet you finally face-to-face, sort of. Virtual face-to-face. We've been trying to connect for a while. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, I'm here to talk about We the World and what we're doing. And also our collaboration, our hopeful collaboration with in the Poor People's Campaign between Ohio and Tennessee. And let's see where to start with We the World. Well, I know that other people that I can see here in the group know about Rick Ulfik, who founded We the World back in 1998. And well, what can we say about Rick? Rick's just an amazing person with lots of vision, lots of heart, lots of compassion. And he was very well-known musician, keyboardist, composer, just all sorts of things that he did behind the scenes that no one knew about. He composed music for the Olympics. He's played with artists such as Carlos Santana, just so many things. And well, up until recently, at least, he's been a judge for the Grammys. But this year, he started out the year with a bang by having a massive heart attack and then a stroke and then all sorts of problems that go along with that. And he's currently awaiting a new heart. So all those positive vibes that anybody can send out to him are very greatly appreciated. But back to what We the World does, as Rick says, we're a nonprofit that helps other nonprofits, because the idea is that if we all worked together in some sort of fashion, we can be like a giant wave. So it wouldn't be like a blue wave or a red wave. It would be the save the world wave in all the ways that the world can be saved. And I'm just idealistic and young at heart enough to think that can be done. So we have many events that we participate in throughout the year. Our biggest is 11 Days of Global Unity that we do. That starts on the International Day of Peace and goes to the 21st, or is it starts on the 11th and goes to the 21st? Somewhere the International Day of Peace is there. I can't remember now if it's the beginning or the end, but anyway, it's there. And we go theme by theme, starting with unity and ending with peace. And my campaign is the 4th campaign. I remember that, for economic justice, which explains my extreme interest in getting involved with Poor People's Campaign. Another event that we have coming up right away is our annual Martin Luther King Manifesting the Dream event, where we just try to have put everything out there from the end of the month to the end of February. So those are our two big events, in addition to working with World Unity Week and other events that happen throughout the year. Maybe this would be a good time, Noel, to show the video that you have.
You know, there's more conversation about what divides us than there is about what unites us. We are united because on a spiritual level we are one.
The objective of the organization, We the World, is to facilitate cooperation on a global scale amongst groups and individuals dedicated to implementing solutions to the many challenges we face on the planet at this time. We the World wishes to inspire, inform, and involve more and more people in these solutions to bring about large-scale change.
We, as the people, have the power to make the changes that we need to make in the world.
All of these amazing people in places of power that are doing nothing.
We are horribly handling the coronavirus, horribly handling the climate crisis.
People act like it's nothing and it won't affect them, but soon it will. The people who really have that power don't really care. If we destroy all of this, then we'll have no other planet to live on.
I want to live in a world where children can look out the window and not see a sea of sadness, but somewhere where things thrive.
We're probably gonna have to, evolve.
And we can together create important global movements.
The earth is alive. Every step we take must be with love and caution.
Joining the organization gave me the opportunity to broaden my horizon, to broaden my mind, to open my mind to see that I'm not just the only person in this world. There are other people who live, and see the amazing things that young people are doing.
We the world.
We the world.
We the world. We the world.
We the world. So this movement from a me consciousness to a we consciousness is not just nice, it is the only sustainable option.
I love that video. One of our, we're completely volunteer, including moi. And so we've, all volunteers do this. So when I became the volunteer coordinator a couple of years ago, I helped build out all of our teams. And one of them was a video team. So I have young people from all over working on projects like these. And it's just so exciting to be able to engage with people, especially young people, all around the world. I just can't describe how great it is, how great it feels to be able to do that from the middle of my cornfield, to connect with people in Africa and Sri Lanka and Italy and everywhere that I am connecting with people. It's a great feeling.
Jana?
Yes.
Would it be okay if I shared the screen and just scrolled through a little bit of the website?
Yes.
As she said, there's so many different campaigns that they're involved with, and literally around the world. So they do a lot in Africa, and
Yes, I work with this group. We call it our WECAN Change Agent Network. And it started with one young lady named Angelina, or her name is Thedo Angelina Gabetsi, and she's in Botswana. But since then, we built out to other countries in Africa. And so every Saturday, I host a hangout for our teams, and you never know who's going to show up, but we just stay connected. They have terrible connection problems, so they're always falling off the call and having to come back in, but somehow we managed to stay connected. They call me Mama Jana.
Wow, that's a lot of, I see, please visit and support our partners.
Yeah, we have a lot of partners, and I think there's some that are missing. But
wow. This is, so if you subscribe, you get a newsletter, but don't you also have a magazine?
Oh, yes, we have a magazine called Trends. Another thing that they had started a while ago, and then they just didn't have enough volunteers and help. And so Robert Levine, who is our resident poet and our editor at our magazine, was doing the volunteers send out letters, and they weren't really connecting with anyone. And so I said, how about I do this? And so I took over that, and he took over being editor of the magazine. And yeah, we just it's just been amazing. It's quarterly. It's a lot of work, but we have authors from all over, and they're talking about our WECAN chapters. And Uganda's not on there. That's another thing we got to work on, getting Uganda in there. Uganda is one of our more active places. We do a lot of work with our leader. He's a doctor. His name is Dr. Robert Wesijay. And he was telling his story about how he got started as a doctor. He grew up very, very poor. His mother died when he was very young. And then his father died. There was just him and his brother. But he did very well in school, and then got to the age where he could go to college. But of course, there was no money. So here he had done all this work, becoming, being a good student. But he met a benefactor who got him through school. So now he's a doctor. Yeah, that's how your organization can partner there. He became a doctor, and he's in Uganda. So they're near the refugees in the Congo, and they're fleeing constantly from being murdered, raped, everything. So he's working in the refugee camps. He delivers babies. He surgery, helps with gunshot wounds, and helps build houses for them. He's just an amazing person, and is just doing so much work. Right now they're having a terrible Ebola crisis, and he's one of the doctors who is trained to be one of those doctors that goes into an area where they're under complete quarantine, so that he can help with care. But most people don't survive Ebola. So the concentration that they're working on is to go to all the communities. So he's involved with that, where they go into the communities with this hand sanitizing solution called Jix. And then they have these huge water jugs. So they're bringing in these hand sanitizing water stations to all the communities. Of course, he's a lot of it is coming from, well, I've helped him, but money from his own account, his own salary to go into the communities to show them how to do proper hand washing. So basically, these people that help him help in the communities are like healthcare workers, in the sense that they're showing people how to properly wash their hands, and then showing it to the other people in the communities, which are very, very poor. Even getting water is is a problem. They don't have a faucet they can turn on to get water. So the poverty is beyond imagination.
I'm just scrolling through some of the campaigns that you have. And now, are these when you do your 11 days, are these the different themes for each day that I'm scrolling through?
So theme 6 would be the 6 days. So the first day is unity.
Mhm.
The second, my campaign is the campaign for economic justice. So my big focus, well, I'm all over the place, but I think if I have a special focus with economic justice, it's homelessness, which is something that I really cause that I want to really get behind and work with other organizations. I mean, where do I start? You know, it's just, where do you start?
It is the scope of what this organization does. That's why I had to have you on, because I'm going like, I don't know, you're doing everything everywhere. So I just thought I'm going to get her on here and have her straighten me out, because I just don't know how you do all these things.
Well, you know, again, it's volunteers. And there are those volunteers, like I'm sure you can relate to, that do have that passion. And whether they're paid or not, they just have to find a place for their passion. So that's why it has worked, because there are people out there. And so all of our campaigns are led by, we have a coordinator for each campaign. And you know, but it's not static. It's always changing, because people come and go, especially when you're working with younger people who, I mean, they really can't stay with it at a very high level if they're trying to find a job for money, which I'm sure their parents would like them to do after they've been to college, you know, and they do it as an internship, and then it's time to move on and get a job. And yeah, some are able to stay, but it's just always changing. So I've got to always be on top of it. I recently, as we've been doing a sort of a refiguring of everything, is that lately I've been finding coordinators who will do more than one campaign, because they all really overlap. Like peace goes with disarmament, and economic justice can really go with human rights. Our human rights coordinator right now is just about to graduate from college, and even with everything that he's been doing with school, he's really taken the human rights campaign to a whole new level, starting his own nonprofit to go with We the World called Rethinking Community, and also another one about gender diversity, where you think about inclusion and equity, and also very much concentrated on the LGBTQ rights. So that's I mean, that's definitely where there has to be a lot of concern for that right now. But also, as it goes along with poverty, you know, your social status and your race and ethnicity. So yeah, they just go together. Oh, and then this is our global unity calendar you're showing here. I am also, Rick calls me the calendar maven. Everybody can post to the calendars. The global unity calendar is open to everyone and anyone. And if you're not part of our organization, you know, or had like, well, if you're a partner, usually there's no problem with that, but other people who maybe wanting to post, they just needs to be approved. So I do that. Rick does it.
So wait a second. Did I miss the clown school with Patch Adams?
Oh, that is a whole new thing that's coming up. I got a postcard from Patch Adams last week. One of our friends who has been with we for a very long time is one of those, doesn't like to use the computer, likes to write letter types. And so she wrote to Patch because he has an institute that's looking for support. And she wrote to him that I was going to write to him and tell him about we. So I wrote him a letter and he sent me back a postcard. So yes, we're going to be in touch. It's going to be hard to do anything computer wise with him because he doesn't know how to use a computer. It doesn't have a smartphone. So it'll be a challenge, but we're going to figure something out about ways to collaborate.
Wow. These are wonderful. And I see you have the Colorado Poor People's Campaign.
Yeah.
And the Romero Institute. I love that Daniel Sheehan of the Romero Institute. He has been working with Lakota law and has so many of the lawsuits, to get back Indigenous rights.
Yes.
I'm feeling like I'm just like going into a gold mine here. I didn't realize she had all. That's why I said I got to get this woman on our call and see what's going on here.
Well, see, we just, like I say, these aren't necessarily things that we're specifically involved with, but we allow people to post what they have got going on. And it's a way for everybody to see how much is going on. When I do the work of looking and looking and looking for cool events that are happening, how can you not feel good about what's happening out there? I mean, it's easy to watch the news and get all depressed, gloom and doom, blah, blah, blah. And I'm, it's not saying it's not there, but I like, if you're one of those people that says, the glass is half full, it's half empty. I'm like, yeah, it's half full. And actually there's room for more, pour more in there. There's just so much.
Well, I'm not even scratching the surface here of all these events, but I've kind of hijacked your time here. I didn't know whether you wanted to go to your PowerPoint or.
Oh yes, we have to do that. I mean, that's my very first PowerPoint I've ever done, and I'm like, they teach it in preschool, and now I'm just finally figuring out how to do it. It's like I feel like I made fire. I did it. It took me hours, but my God, I did it. So yeah, I can of course talk about everything that's there. I didn't, write any notes for myself because I know what it's about. So I don't need to remind myself. So there we are. We the World, founded in 1998 by Rick Ulvik. And we're still going strong.
And you just cue me when you want me to switch.
Oh, next. Ding, creating a world that works for all. That's our idea. We just wanted, like I said, be a nonprofit that supports other nonprofits, and it's free to partner with us. The idea is cross promotion, and if there's any way we can work together, we would love to work with everyone. It's the showing the logos and talking about what other people are doing, and especially like during MLK, if there's an event to be able to collaborate together. Back in before we were thinking of hybrid and virtual, there were of course lots of events, but we had to get more creative about how we do things. So ding. And there we are. There's some of our people. You can see this is a graphic that we did for, and I think it kind of cut off some people more than others, but that we did for our Giving Tuesday. So you can see many people there. And the guy with the hat that you can see from the back, many may know, he's Lanny Earthman Smith. I don't know if anyone's heard of him, but he's fantastic singer, musician, and he has a costume that he puts on that looks like a big globe that he wears, and he's been going to kids' schools and everywhere to promote being environmentally conscious. And before the the 2000, the last election. He did a lot working with the campaigns. He had a song he wrote, but he helped with all the campaigns. He did a lot. You can see Rick Ulfick, and right underneath Rick Ulfick, next to the globe, is Angel. Angel, and she's our CEO. Right next to Rick, and the right above him, is our grandmother Shannon Crossbear, who helps with our interdependence campaign. And she's, yeah, right there. She is of Ojibwe ancestry. So she's she does a lot of work with the indigenous populations and bringing awareness. And you can see, I don't know who that person up there at the top is. I can't remember who she is. Anyway, we just have a lot of people there.
Well,
It's hard to
let's
show
point
everyone.
out your smiling face right here.
Yeah, there's me.
There she is. I'm curious, how many different countries do you work in? Do you do your work in?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. So we have volunteers that are coming and going, but I'm trying to think of two of my most recent coordinators who've just come on is from Italy. And then we have another person from two from Sri Lanka. And then another person just moved here from Colombia. So even if they're in the States, they're here on like work visas or whatever, and they're still with their countries. But in Africa, we have Nigeria, Burundi, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda.
Wow, that is so
Botswana.
impressive.
Yeah.
So you actually have programs on the ground there.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
so impressive.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so ding. And another graphic that we did for our Giving Tuesday. You can see the picture in the top part there. I think that's in Uganda. The doctor that I mentioned, he started an organization, and it's for agroforestry. So they are showing the communities how to, they're planting lots and lots and lots of trees and having their kitchen gardens, which you'll see in another picture. In the middle there, I think that's Tanzania. They do a lot with the kids going around and for cleanup days. That bottom part there in the middle, that was with 500,000 meals. That was before I started, but there's Rick there with some people. Top left is the doctor I mentioned from Uganda, helping a woman whose house was burned down. Her husband and two of her older children were murdered by the rebels. And so she's left trying to put her life back together. And bottom right, I think that's one of our environmental coordinators, but with her family. She has started a new nonprofit called Climate Collaborators. She's in Florida, and she's a grandma doing lots and lots of work. Bottom left, I think it's the same. They made from either Tanzania or Uganda. And Angel's there in the middle a few years ago. Ding. So yes, our goal is to more fully support the WECAN teams because they just need so much help. Recently, we've made connection with an organization called World Beyond War, who they typically do more with disarmament and peace, but they happen to have started with a new team in Uganda, a very new person there in Uganda who wants to volunteer again with the refugee camp situation. So we're working together to see how we can put Robert and Moses together to be able to more fully help them. But again, World Beyond War has the same money problem that we do. So it's just a constant problem trying to find money to do all the things that we want to do. So we just do the best we can with however we can, which is not enough, but
yeah, we're very familiar with World Beyond War and have been supporting them and been to a lot of their international conferences, and they do tremendous work. We've
oh
had
yeah,
David Swanson, who's the head of
yeah.
that, on a call before, one of our calls before. The work that they do, just check them out, worldbeyondwar.org.
Oh yeah, we have been working with them. In fact, we have a We store also that, you know, to support our projects. And I happened to see something that they were doing with their Blue Scarf project. So we got in contact with them so that if we are to have their Blue Scarf project in our store, so that if we can sell any, then they get all the money from that. Also with our We store, we've been getting involved with the book part of the bookstore part of fundraising, you know, that many organizations have, so that we can cooperate with other organizations. And I know World Beyond War is very active with their book sales. So ding.
Okay, here we go.
Next. Again, there are the names that I mentioned. Dr. Robert, I always have to look at this, Wesage, and Tanzania. I always want to say Tanzania, but Tumani tells me it's Tanzania. And I had the hardest time pronouncing his first name, Tumani. And it's really Tumani Obando Faso. And then in Rwanda, we have Eric Nakuriamana. And then Botswana, we have Thedo Angelina Gabitsi. Next. I love this picture. Here we are in Uganda, and there's pictures of the people who work at the health clinic there. Taking a moment out from saving the world to smile, send us a picture. Next. And here's our Tamani. He's just a super active guy. He's a teacher. He teaches Swahili at the university, and he says he's going to teach me Swahili too. But he's just involved with all sorts of events and organizations in Tanzania, and he loves to participate in the marathon. Next. Here's Eric in Rwanda, and they're taking a little break, it looks like, but they're he tells me they're having a community meeting to talk about how they're going to put their gardens together. Another project that Eric wants to get involved with, but I don't think it's really taken off yet, is a pig rearing project. The idea is that there would be a way for the women of the camps to be able to earn more money and have a little bit more financial security with raising pigs and also their kitchen gardens. Next. This is, her name is Thedo Angelina Gabesi, but she goes by Angelina. And she's just amazing. She's been helping with me for many years. She got a really nice big grant from Purpose Earth and has been able to do so much with her organization called Unleashing the African Potential. She gives presentations and does a lot of traveling. And this is when she was at, there was evidently a COP meeting in Sweden just a few months ago. So that was a great picture from there.
Yeah, I just want to say Purpose Earth is also very involved with Unity Earth and with, we.net. And yes, they give away about $10,000 scholarships, probably about 10 or 15 a year.
Yeah,
And
she was very lucky to be able to get one of those.
yeah, and for, with people around the world doing just amazing things. When you think like you said, you wonder where's the good in the world? And I'm thinking, I think all you have to do is come in and join some of these organizations and you'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah, Ben Bowler's a great friend of we, and so is John Raymer from Compassion Games, which is, World Unity Week. So yeah, we're connected in all those ways, aren't we? Oh, this is from one of the earlier refugee camp scenes that they had, just people just arriving, just so many people, and they just come with whatever they can carry. It's just such a horrible, tragic situation. Just it's so sad. Next. And there were so many pictures to try and pick from, all the pictures that Tumani sends, but he always likes to show, he's a bit of an artist. He likes to show everybody holding hands and take artistic photos, and all the pictures with the kids holding up signs. I think this was when a couple years ago when we were working with Humanity Rising, they helped us put on our 11 Days of Global Unity that year. And so Tumani had his students plant trees, and he did a special presentation. There was a tree for We the World that they were planting, and a tree for Jim Garrison from Ubiquity University, and one for Rick. And his idea is that he starts celebrating the green birthdays, and the kids all love to take care of the trees, especially Papa Ricky's tree. And here we are in Rwanda. I think he's just done an amazing job of setting up these amazing kitchen garden sites where they can just really work together as a community to take care of their community and plant lots of things. They plant avocados and tomatoes and all sorts of things. And I love the picture of Eric up in the left-hand corner there with the mom, and he's holding her son, her baby. Next. Oh, this is a big subject. I was showing my mom this picture. She goes, those are big maxi pads. And I said, Mom, there is a big package of sanitary napkins, because girls there they don't have access to that. It's not like they can just go to the local grocery store and get that. Girls have to stay home from school because they're, having, it's what girls do. And with what women do, they menstruate, and yet they don't have the supplies to help them with this. And they are so lacking in just basic hygiene supplies like soap. And so it's just such a big problem. I think this is probably from Tanzania. Both Tamani and Robert are very involved with World Menstruation Day there and celebrating that. And it's, it's just a fact of life. It's not something to hide. It's something to be aware of. And they're very much involved with that. And so these girls are proud to be able to have their supplies. And it's also a big problem in Uganda in the hospitals. Women give birth, younger, they flee with, like I say, nothing. And so they come in and their bodies are just doing what their bodies do. And especially after giving birth, there's, a need to be able to take care of that situation. But the hospital supply unit doesn't supply that. So it's a constant problem of trying to help with that situation in the camps. And I've asked them, well, why can't the hospital supply soap and sanitary supplies? And he says they don't think it's necessary, but it is. So that's a big thing we want to be able to help them with. We're working with grant money that we're going to be getting through I think it does come from Purpose Earth, helping us with the grant that we want much of the money that we can get to help with the WECAN groups. Now, next. Oh, and it'll take a little while for the next picture, the rest of that picture to show up. If it does, it may not. But anyway, one partner organization that we've been working with, and I wonder if you've heard of this group, is the Mother Earth Project, and it's organized and designed, founded by Dr. Barton Rubenstein. He's an amazing artist sculptor, and his thing that they work with parachutes, not the kind that you jump out of the plane with like you'd want to, but anyway, they're parachutes that are you hold, the kids can grab an edge and they decorate the parachutes. And I know that as an organization, when they do an event somewhere, and if you see it from above, an aerial view, people from all different organizations and groups and communities decorate their parachutes, and from above, it's really quite amazing. If you look at the Mother Earth Project.org, I think you can find a lot there. But we've done a lot of work with him. He especially enjoys working with the people in Africa. And in fact, that's how I met him. DDA, who is in Burundi, had a webinar, and he invited me to be a speaker. And this was 2 or 3 years ago. And that's how I met Tumani. But Dr. Barton we call him Dr. Barton. He was working with DDA for this environmental project that they're working on everywhere. And DDA is very involved with that. He's a lawyer there. And then through Tumani met Robert. So I guess the rest of it's not going to show up, but that's okay. Ding. Oh, there it is. It's showing up. You can see how it is. And so they did the artwork in the middle, and they're showing it off. They're very proud. Next. And here we have Angelina doing an event, and that's the name of her organization, Unleashing the African Potential. And I love that. Girls should learn history and make it, we call it herstory. Next. And there's our usual, please give us money. So there's a donation link, and we.ed is our website. And so help us help them, help us help others. It's our message. And I think that's the end. Yeah, they said I have to have this on there for attrition to this organization. Slides go. I have to use free things. The end.
That's so tremendous. It's hard to get your head wrapped around everything. I invite anyone to go ahead and turn on your video, and if you have any questions or comments about the immense amount of work this organization is doing literally around the world. It's just so inspiring, Jana. And if anyone has any questions or very informal here, you just raise your hand, unmute yourself, and jump on in.
I just have to say, my mind is kind of boggled. It's just a lot. It's just a lot.
But you know what? I love it. I had been looking after divorce and everything. I was looking for something to be really involved with and in, especially since my kids are grown and, you know, not so needed anymore. And I felt like I wanted to, my mom is quite old now, but I told her, Mom, I think I want to start a movement. And she goes, that's nice, dear. What kind of movement? And I said, well, I don't know. I guess I'll know it when I find it. And then anyway, I happened to be just kind of surfing, you know, on the internet, and I came across Rick Olfick doing one of the days of 11 Days of Global Unity. And I thought, that's it. So I joined right there. And I've been so happy. And now if I didn't have it, I don't know if I feel like I had a reason to get out of bed in the morning, except for my dog. He needs me, you know, but I feel needed and I feel like I can do something. So
that's wonderful. I wish we had a little clip of Rick Olfick playing. I mean, he's amazing.
Oh,
musician.
I know. Well, you know what? I wish I did too, but I don't.
He does jingles too. The guy's amazing.
Oh yeah. In fact, he was I think I forget how I found this out, but he knows people from way back. And he and another guy had decided to start this business where you know, they were young and they were going to be like, we'll do your jingle message, you know, your phone answering thing, you know, we'll have a little, you have reached the number of whatever, you know, with this jingle that went along with it. I don't know how successful it was. Well, sounds like a really good idea.
Pretty successful guy. Now, Janet, you're the HR director. How many volunteers do you think you currently have? Do you have some system that you keep track of all of them? Or
yes, would you believe I do that too? But
I believe it. You do everything.
I have an assistant in Australia who I do all the, you know, I call it the harvesting of the volunteers. I have finally figured out a really good system so I don't forget things. And so that once I bring them in and do the orientation and figure out where they are, I send my information to Megan in Australia, and she keeps it all track of it in a spreadsheet because I hate doing spreadsheets. And it's not that I don't like spreadsheets. I think they're a very good invention, but I just the actual putting it in just gets me so frustrated. So I have someone who does that for me. But yes, so right now I would say active or pretty active, we probably have close to 100.
Wow, that sounds like a lot, but for what you do, it sounds like just a drop.
And you know what? I know all of them. I can tell you, oh yeah, I remember she had a really cute room that we were, you know, there was the backdrop of, you know, I mean, it was just like on Aaron Brockovich when, you know, the character played by Julia Roberts, and, you know, goes to interview all the people about the terrible and mess at the computer, what am I, chemicals leaking into the water, and it was causing all this problem. And she knew all these people and their phone numbers. I can't even remember my own phone number, but I can certainly relate to this person who knows all of them. And yeah, guess.
Let's see, we have a question here. Are there filters or approval process of what events are get into the community calendar? Do you do that too?
Yeah, pretty much.
Why not?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if you can, there's a link where you know, if you go to our website and you want to put something on the calendar, you can put it in there, and then it's basically me who I will get a message saying so and so has put an event in, and I take a look at it and I go, oh yeah, that's great, you know, and then I approve it, and then I'll probably check off anytime you want to send an event in, you can, because it'll just be accepted. So yeah, that's how that works. It's if I can handle doing that kind of computer work, anybody can, because oh my goodness.
Wow. Now let's see. Victoria Bard says she has Rick Olphick plays his piano composition, The Cloisters.
Yeah. Oh, you have that?
4-minute video of something he wrote in high school.
Yes, he did. He wrote it for his brother.
Are we game for that, or do we have more questions first?
It is beautiful.
Is it?
All I remember about the story, and tell me if I'm wrong, but he had an older brother, was 8 years older, and in fact, his last year on his birthday, his older brother died. So this year he played it, and it was something that he had written for his older brother because his older brother was so dear to him, and he had such love for him. So yeah, it's a gorgeous piece.
Well, wish me luck. Let me see if I can do a screen share here and get it.
I'm just going to play a little music, and I thought I would play something that I wrote in high school. It's called The Cloisters, and it's an ode to the cloisters, which is a beautiful medieval kind of, it's a museum in New York for those looking on live stream. So just a beautiful place, and I found it to be very peaceful when I was growing up. So I wrote a piece for the cloisters, and I'll play it on the piano.
Wow.
Oh boy. I'm struggling to not cry here.
Especially to know that Rick is in the hospital now waiting a heart transplant.
Yes.
How long ago did his brother pass?
It was last year on his birthday, which would be October 20th. And he every year would do a birthday gala thing, fundraiser at a restaurant, near where they live. And then pandemic, past couple of years, it's been in his house, and it was last year. Unless I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was last year. And at the end of the party, he got word that his brother had died.
Wow.
Yeah.
On his birthday, on Rick's birthday?
On Rick's birthday, yes. Seppi had just had baked a beautiful cake and just presented it to him, and everybody was happy. And then he had a phone call and found out. It was
Wow. But I'm just speechless. This man just amazes me.
He is so loved, and he's touched the hearts and lives of so many, and so hard.
And to think he's still in his hospital bed, taking care of business, still giving.
Yeah.
Giving.
Yes. Angel and Callum and I are keep holding the reins as best we can, and because we're volunteer. And I mean, there are a lot of people supporting John Raymer, Ben Boulder, all sorts of people, but so it comes down to what he's having to go through, and being so weak and tired, and just staying hopeful through all of that. But that's what he is. He's hopeful. And I hear people saying that they have talked to him, and he's just being nice to the nurses and everybody. I mean, of course he would.
Yes. What a leader.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about leadership earlier today, weren't we, Peggy? On an earlier call. And yes, what a leader. Yeah, it just brings me to, don't find me speechless too often, but this is just tremendous.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I just want everyone to know about the world, and I want people to know about Rick and everything. And I think we're pretty unique. We're not unique in that we want the best and work hard, and all of us here, that's what we want: peace and harmony and good health and good fortune for everybody, a good life. And but I think the way we're going about it is unique in that we really are volunteer. And why I've always thought it's amazing what one person can do, because it starts with one who gets another person excited, and then it builds out. And it's what gets me up in the morning, and I know that.
Well, Bob and I used to volunteer with a group called iTech out of Florida, and they're a Christian based group, and they were about going, around the world. And there's a lot of Christian groups that go out and they do church planting.
Yeah.
And they'll go out there and they'll build a church for them. And this group, I really loved them because they were about teaching them technology, like how to, they had their own dentistry program that taught the locals how to pull teeth and do other things. They made technology so that when women are giving birth, they could sit in this one chair to help with the birth. That
Wow.
IMED program, which gave medical help. Well, one thing I learned that was so important from this group and how they were different from so many other groups that go out there and then they pat themselves on the back. You know, I did my mission workout and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, they just, you know, I gave the example of one time they, you know, this church planting group went out there and planted a church and then they go away. And then the people that have no connection with them, well, then they came back like about 5 years later and found out they're using a church for a chicken coop. They needed a chicken coop. They didn't need a church.
Yeah.
You know, because they had their own beliefs. And
exactly.
And so he wrote a book. It's called When Helping Hurts. Or he didn't write it, but he told us about it and we got a copy of it. But it's what I see you all doing is really empowering those.
Yes.
It's not
the way they need help.
All the answers and all the solutions and that sort of thing. But it sounds like you're really partnering, you're there and you're empowering them to.
We're there to help them with how they want to be helped. And so we call it open architecture. So when somebody comes in to volunteer, of course, you know, we have to list positions. We can't just say, hey, you know, come on over. You know, we can't do that because that would just be too free, too creative. So we have all these positions that are listed. But I tell you, when somebody fills out a form on volunteer match, and then by the time I get it and have them fill out our form, and then when I meet them, it might be completely different from what they first indicated that they want to do, because I want to talk to the person and say, well, you know, first of all, thank you, and, you know, find out about them. But I, you know, I don't want to, if somebody needs to have, you know, step A, B, C, D, all right, I can do that. I have a hard time following the pattern, but I can do that. But, you know, if someone says, I want to do this and this, but, you know, I don't know about that, that's perfect. That's who I like. Because, I mean, not that I don't like everybody. I love everybody, but I like to help them do what they want to do, because I remember there's so much time in my life where I just felt so, I don't want to say depressed, but just so weighed down by all the pain I saw, and I wanted to be able to help, and I couldn't I just didn't see how I could do anything. But this is the way that we can give an opportunity to young people to come in and do what they can, and then at least have guidance, you know, so that they can do what they want to do and feel like they're making a difference. And plus, volunteering is a great way to meet people and find other opportunities. And it looks great on your resume if that's what you're concerned about. And, you know, I mean, that's what they have to do.
That.
For, you know, well, I mean, resume, but I mean, you know, like scholarships for school, you know, like, you know, not everyone can be a sports star to get a scholarship, but if you can show that you know, you feel compassion for humanity, you want to do something, that's a way to show leadership skills, because you had a project, you developed a project, you worked on your project, and this is what you can show. And, you know, it's all good, you know.
Well, I want to invite Victoria or Maureen or Reverend Newell. We haven't heard your voice in the conversation. If there's something you'd like to unmute and contribute.
Well, I'm just so, I mean, I have been exposed to, you know, Rick on Humanity Rising and Unity Weeks and places like that. And, you know, and he has, you know, such a beautiful presence and such a heart, you know, for humanity. And, you know, it's very impactful presence just by showing up, you know. And so I've always, you know, so to hear you speak and learn more about it, because I'm so busy in so many different directions, you know, I hear about all these different groups and wonderful organizations, and I, send my love. And then here I am, because I'm a generalist, helping everyone. And that's, my specialty is helping everyone. And I love the way, that we were talking about that type of help. It is, beyond the golden rule becomes the platinum rule. Have you guys heard of the platinum rule?
I think I have, but refresh my memory.
So you know the golden rule: do unto
Yeah.
others as you would have them do unto you. And that's like buying, a sweater that you like for your sister for Christmas, and so the platinum rule is, do unto others as they would be done unto, as they need, as they want.
Well, that's what we do.
Exactly. So I just wanted to point out the platinum
I
rule.
gotta remember that one.
Yeah. It's buy your sister a sweater that she likes.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I get it completely. Right. Well, I can think of, there's just so many opportunities. So I hope we can all connect and come up with something,
Wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Victoria, did you want to jump in at all?
Sure.
Thank you, Maureen.
Hi. And Jana, hi. A question that was coming up for me while you were talking was, and I've touched on this a little bit with Noel and Bob, that I keep dabbling and I show up and I disappear and I show up and I disappear for like a couple of years, not a couple of weeks. And now I feel like I'm at this place where it's my time to do and get in the flow and stay in the flow. And like I'm finally here. And when I hear about all of this stuff that's going on, this is a question that I don't think is just for me. It's for some listener that's going to listen later. I just think it's that, and for me. But how do we get over that thing of, oh, I didn't do anything and I didn't this and I didn't that, instead of I'm ready? Like what helps you make that shift to get into action no matter what you have or have not done before?
Well, the first thing is for us, from our standpoint, is filling out the form. and it's, you can risk, as I said, you could fill out, say, yeah, I want to do say help with the health campaign or something like that. And then by the time I say you've done that, and I said, oh, thank you for your interest, and fill out the form. And by the time you and I meet, you may decide you want to whatever, because I'll talk to you and find out what you like to do, what would make you feel good, what would make you feel like that you were doing something now, and always reminding all, as I do all our volunteers, that you get from this because you're doing this for others and it helps you. But it's, we know everybody has busy lives, and so maybe you only have 30 minutes a month. Maybe you just want to just jump in and see where you want to be. I can handle it all. There's no rigidity to it. Obviously, if you were doing something that says, I want to be a Zoom host during, 11 days of global unity, well, then, I hope you'll show up. But if that's what you were wanting to do, my God, we need Zoom techs. So maybe, are you a Zoom tech? I'm going to try and get you right now, because you know how to do that. But it's not scary. I can tell you that. And it's very personal. And if you decide, well, for the example, I had a woman who wanted to think about for a week if she wanted to help coordinate our peace and disarmament campaign. And I said, oh yeah, that's fine. I'll check back with you in a week. And if you decide, I don't know if I really want to take this on because I'm looking for a job, but I don't know if I can do it. She contacted me and said, I want to do it. And I said, that's great. Yay. But it's no pressure. And because I've been a volunteer all my life, and I know what it's like if you fill out a form and you decide you want to, work with at hospice or something like that. Well, you have to have a background check, and you have to have a tuberculosis skin test, and all these things. We don't have any of those scary requirements because it's all virtual. And I mean, there's, like I say, there are all sorts of positions and all sorts of freedom to do whatever, as much or as little as you want. I hope that answered your question. I tend to be a babbler.
There's a book by Andrew Harvey, Spiritual Activism.
Yeah.
And he says, what you should do is whatever breaks your heart.
Oh, yeah.
It's really a very good book in terms of giving someone, direction. But I just summarize this whole book in like just one thing. But there's a lot more to it. But when you think about it, and Jana, we haven't had time to talk about it, but you and Bob and I were also involved with the Poor People's Campaign.
Yes.
With Reverend William Barber out of North Carolina. And we did an action. They say there are about 10,000 of us that went to Converged on Washington, D.C., June 18th to bring awareness. And what was so wonderful about that gathering, we had the Capitol in the background, and what was so wonderful about that gathering is that he said, I'm not going to have any celebrities here. I'm not going to have any politicians. What this is going to be is poor people telling their stories. And they were from all across the United States. And those stories just really broke our hearts. When you think like, the demonizing of poor people and poverty and people without shelter in this country right now, it's horrific. And our UU church put together, and we took like a rock star bus of people up there. And that was a very big accomplishment for our teeny little church to get 40 people on board
I was a digital organizer, but nothing really came of that. But I have done a lot of digital engagement for them. But I wanted to ask now, were you part of the Get Out the Vote, text banking, phone banking, all this for this recent?
Yes, what we did postcards. And
okay.
our UU is claiming that we got Georgia because of our postcards.
Well, I want to say something about that because I myself text banked over 119,000 conversations. Myself, on top of everything else. You know how much time it takes to text 119,000 people and reply. So, when I hear everybody talking about, oh, it was this committee, it was that person with the Democratic, whatever, got Georgia to vote. I'm like, what about other people who wrote postcards and
there were so
from
many
all over the world? I mean, all over the country, anybody who cared about what happened. And I know, I mean, boy,
postcards, and UU also has a UU the Vote.
Oh, are you with Pastor Hank then in that church or
no?
Oh, okay, we gotta talk about Pastor Hank. Well, yeah, but we have to work together because I've already told I'm on the coordinating committee for Northeast Ohio. And I said, my job is networking, and I'm meeting people from the very active group in Tennessee, and I want to work with them, and I want to get us working with other active state chapters, because my thing that I want to really work on, and I already talked to my team about this, about really getting out there for rallies, is about homelessness, and specifically, this myth that there is out there about homelessness and poverty to begin with. But what about women who may have never experienced poverty before, grew up wealthy, raised their families, but they happen to marry a schmuck, who left them with nothing because the woman has the audacity to leave because she's been abused. And there she finds herself poor, because very few systems will support a woman through that, and then she's poor. So, I mean, I just really want to help change the narrative and the picture of what poverty and homelessness looks like, and really want to work on that. So we're going to be talking.
Very good. We're very active in our social justice committee. But
I'm with you too in Kent, Ohio.
Kent, Ohio. Well, I think we need to wrap it up. I don't know if anyone.
Oh my gosh, already?
Yeah, you've completely, I don't know, I just say overwhelmed us with all the goodness. But it's a good overwhelm, right?
Oh, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Gee.
Yeah. And,
well, this has been fun. Thank you so much for having me. And was it Victoria who founded the cloisters? Is it?
Yes, she found the cloisters.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Yeah, I've seen him play it on his grand piano in his home, which, oh my gosh, I can't stop. I have to stop thinking about that for now.
Right. Well, I think the way we might close this, can we just take like about 30 seconds and just concentrate on Rick in that hospital room, and, you know, just see that heart coming to him, see him being restored to perfect health. I would just really love to honor Rick and just take a few moments of silence here before we close. So Rick, we love you. We see this coming, seeing you restored to perfect health, continuing to do the great work, the grand work, the loving work that you are doing in the world. And thank you, Jana, for being so multidimensional, so multi-talented, that you can, that you brought all this goodness to us, and all that you do for we the world. And I just want to say that all I want for Christmas is Rick to get his heart. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you. Been amazing. Love you too, Peggy. Blessing.
Thank you, everyone. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your care and compassion for Rick, and for being here tonight to listen. And thank you, Noel and Bob.
We'll have you back once you get your camera fixed.
Sounds good to me. Thanks for being so patient.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming. Love you.
Good night.